getting your head around the e-portfolio. This is a really important video, and I think the first thing to say is the e-portfolio needs to become your best friend. Over the next few years, this is your way of showing the examiners at the end of your training at the ARCP panel that you are a GP, you are ready to be a GP. So you need to treat it as important as any exam. Number one, what is the e-portfolio? The e-portfolio is a collection of evidence to prove that you can walk and talk and sleep and walk like a GP. It's everything from feedback from your colleagues and patients to assessments done by senior doctors observing you, to your own reflections on patient encounters, what you've learned from seeing patients, how you can show that you're a good GP from seeing patients. And that's not always just the good stuff, but also when things don't go so well, how have you learned from those experiences? Number two, what do I have to get done and when by? This is a really common question that we get asked again and again throughout the year. But the good news is the answer is very easy. In the link below, I'm going to pop a link to a table on the RCGP website, which lists very clearly what assessments you need to do and by when, and it categorizes them by year, as well as by assessment type. And this makes it really easy for you to understand. I'd also recommend that you sit down with your supervisors, whether that's your clinical supervisor in post now or your educational supervisor who oversee your entire training, and have a chat with them to plan the 6 months and the 12 months ahead so that you know when you need to get certain things done by, because they will be the ones who are marking your portfolio. Number three, what's the difference between a mini-KEX and a COT? What's the difference between a QIA and a QIP? These, again, are really common questions that we get asked all the time. And again, the answer is very easy. I'm linking you to the RCGP website, which has all of these FAQs, together with really clear answers, as well as some actually training examples of QIPs, for example, quality improvement projects. This page on the RCGP website really should become your best friend alongside the e-portfolio. Help, I'm no good with computers or IT. This is a really common worry that a lot of trainees have. And that's the first thing to say, really. It's not just you. Many of our trainees struggle with navigating portfolios, IT, and it's not something they've done before. The good news is there's a lot of resource created by 14 Fish to run through how to do the common things. So I'm signposting you and linking you to some of the videos on the 14 Fish website, which can take you through doing learning logs or assessments, for example. Please do set aside some time and go through those. The second bit of advice in this regard is ask a friend. Chances are they're better than any of us trainers or educators, and they found tips and tricks to do things or get to things really quickly on the portfolio, and they'll be able to give you some top tips, particularly those in the year or two above you who've been through it all before. The last thing I'd say is look out for deanery workshops. So a couple of times a year, at least, the deanery will run online virtual meetings specifically to help you with common questions that you're not sure about, and often there'll be a trainee and an educator there to give you some advice. Actually, the very last advice I'm going to say is also speak to your educational supervisors. They're the ones who are marking your portfolios and looking at the entries that you're providing. So speak to them and they'll be able to give you advice on how to do things, particularly how they would like, and that's really important.